Today's review is of a course called Morro Bay Golf Course, which is in Morro Park, which is, I had to go a bit out of the range of, say, 50 miles of Lompoc to find these two courses. And the options were pretty simple. One was to go north, the other one was to go south into Santa Barbara and points south down to Ventura, which brought in like, okay, maybe we'll go to Los Angeles or just San Diego, who knows. And I didn't want to do that because I've already, number one, been down there plenty of times. And while I haven't played a lot of courses in the Los Angeles area, and there are actually a fair amount of courses there, aside from private courses versus public courses, I just didn't really want to. I mean, I'd spent most of the last month running in and out of LA, and the last thing I really wanted to do was go down there and play golf. So I basically found two courses, one of which is Morro Bay. This course is on the coast west of Highway 101, well past Pimco Beach. It's about an hour's drive north of Lompoc, and it is, I would say, an interesting course, although the weather situation on the coast lately has been rather overcast, except for spotted. I think pretty much Pimco Beach is one of the few places that's usually got clear skies, clear blue skies. But north of there and south of there, this whole week it's been overcast for the most part. And so likewise, Morro Beach is, likewise, it was overcast that week also. So the funny thing about it, to be honest, was that I figured that the beach, Morro Bay, sorry, not Morro, Morro Bay, I figured that the beach would be interesting to go to even if it was overcast. I mean, when I left Lompoc, it was, really looking kind of rainy, but it almost never rains out here. I mean, every now and then you get a light sprinkle, for instance, for a few minutes, and it goes back to being overcast. And so I didn't worry about it raining per se, but I did worry about it being just overcast to the point where there was no point in going to the beach. And I did bring one of my older DSLRs with me, and I left it in the car. I didn't even bother taking it out because there just weren't that many shots. I didn't feel like dragging it out of the car to take shots with it. So, I mean, I don't know where I'm going to go with that whole idea, but for right now, it's kind of dead as a doornail. Just the fact that I have to actually carry the thing and worry about it while I'm driving around. If I even had a bag, I might get a camera bag, put it in my cart and stuff. I could take it out, but just going through the extra motion instead of going to the clubhouse, getting, my tee time paid, getting a cart, getting my clubs out of my car and going to the first tee and getting, in line to play. That's a lot, especially when you've driven for like an hour and 15 minutes to get to the course. You really don't want to just go through any extra motion. You're kind of wanting to calm down. You just want to slow down and get your nerves under control. Last thing you want to do is have to swing a DSLR around in the lens. And it just was like 1 point extra benefit, 0 point extra desire. Let's put it that way. No desire whatsoever to do it. And there were places there that I could have stopped and take shots. I could have gone to the beach itself, which is in a nice cove, and there are nice hiking trails around there and things like that. But then, the hikers are one problem, and the traffic around there is another problem. And I was like, all right, I don't want to go through all this just after I finished 18 holes to go take more pictures. And so I didn't. And it was very possible. They had nice parking spots there near the ocean, and all I had to do was park there and go take some shots, go to the water. But I didn't. I just wanted to get in my car, just wanted to go home. I was quite tired after my round. The weather was not that great the whole round. There were spots of it where it was blue for several holes at a time and so forth, but it was gray when I started, it was gray when I finished, and I was tired, and I had a roughly 2-hour drive to get back home. I was like, not today. I'm not going to do it today. It's just, I'm so out of the whole kind of swinging a camera around, a DSLR and lens and stuff for marginal, if any, real benefit. It's just, the fact that it's more effort than it's worth is not something I want to deal with while I'm playing golf. I'll put it that way. So I didn't. And frankly, took it back home, put it on the shelf where it was the 2 weeks before then. So hadn't shot it other than upgraded the firmware on 4 of my cameras and then put them back on storage. So ultimately, the course, Morro Bay, had this in common with the other course that I played the day after. And I'd planned, because I'm trying to get back east out of the West Coast. And so I said, okay, I'm going to leave this Friday or something to go back home. But I want to play both of these courses because they're so close. I really couldn't pick and choose between the two of them because they're both slope 123 courses from the back tees. They were both 6,800 yards from the back tees. You know, one was 20 miles north of the other. The other one was 20 miles west of Highway 101. And I really couldn't decide which one I wanted to play first. So I just said, fine, I'll play them both. And so this one is of Morro Park. Now, as a golf course goes, especially for a slope 123 course, this course was a benefit, a plus, you know, a surprise on all three of these measures. It had good verticality. It was a challenging layout, nice holes, nice layout. I think that both sides had pluses and minuses going. The front side had somewhat more houses. As a matter of fact, I did indeed drop a ball on somebody's house down the right fairway after the par 4 going uphill. There's a par 4, number 1, par 4 going back on the left side of number 1. Then number 3 is a par 4 kind of dogleg going back up the hill. Then you have a par 3, number 4. And then, so 3 and 4 go back up the hill, but on the side, so it's not quite so slopey as 1 and 2. And then you go take a left and you go up number 5, which is a par 4. And that is a straightaway up, sort of 20 degree slope maybe uphill. But the problem is that they have walking paths in the course. So negative checkpoint right there. I played the first 5 holes and saw at least 7 people walking. The tee box for number 3 is right next to the road that goes to the course. It's just maybe 100 yards from the clubhouse, and someone walked up there behind me. I played number 4, par 3. I'm sitting on the green putting, and then this man and the woman walk by, and she's got her phone. She's holding her phone in her hand, listening to music, and the guy's struggling on behind her. But they're hiking right next to the green up the cart path. There's a walking path on the other side of the fence from there. And so shortly after, they went up and proceeded to interact with me through the next tee shot on number 5 going uphill. And I whistled the ball past her in the fairway, and she looked stunned and amazed and stuff. And I was like, hey, I'm glad you waited there by the trees because, you know, I'm sure you didn't want me to wait while you walked all the way up the fairway 300 yards for me to wait and watch you walk instead of playing. You know, classic nonsense, you know, happened a couple of times on other courses, but this is the first time it was like a real, you know, first she wouldn't turn the phone off while I was putting on the 4th hole. Then she strolls up the side of the fairway and on the walking path while I'm trying to hit my tee shot on number 5. I'm like, okay, enough of this nonsense. And then sure enough, as soon as I hit my tee shot, these 3 old guys come walking around behind me. What club are you going to hit on the approach shot? I was like, oh, what do you mean you're only hitting a 7-iron? I was like, okay, fine, dude, whatever. So they go strolling off. These other 2 people, apparently there's a rest station right behind the tee box for number 6. So one part of me was like, okay, I'm getting ready to hit my tee shot. Don't be surprised if there's a loud bang, you know. And sure enough, worrying about them, I pop my tee shot high and right. And, you know, after a while, I hear this boom as it lands. And there's a row of houses down the right side of the fairway. Next shot I hit over in the left. And, of course, the next hole, number 7, is coming back up, you know, to the 8th tee box, which is up 225 downhill, which runs alongside number 5. So there's a lot of, you know, running around on the front side where you're playing up and down, back and forth and around and stuff. And it's just really a small amount of real estate. And it's a lot to deal with when, you know, you're playing a course and there's people on the adjacent fairway, you know, there's people ahead of you, there's people behind you, and the guys ahead of me were really kind of slow, forced them ahead of me. So it got to the point where I actually asked them, do you mind if I pass you on number 8? So of course I hit this really weak cut nonsense on a 230-yard shot, and, you know, which is the golf god striking back at you for having the audacity to pass somebody in front of you because you consider them to be slow. Anyway, went down, hit number 9, going down to the clubhouse, which was a really nice hole. A lot of those holes on the, you know, 1 and 2 and 9 and on that side are blind shots. Your second shot is blind. Same thing with number 8, second shot's blind. And you really have to be careful to wait for people ahead of you to get out of range. Because the last thing you want to do is have the ball come bouncing over the hill, you know, and you don't even see anybody behind you because they didn't bother to wait, or they didn't see you when they teed off, so you don't know there's somebody ahead of you. And what are you gonna do? You know, this is one of those things where are you gonna drive down there to see if anybody's there, or are you just gonna wait, you know, a little bit and then hit off? And honestly, it was a bit of a problem on this side of the course, but still nice course, still good views of the bay from, you know, the part next to the clubhouse and so forth. It was good. And if it had not been quite so overcast when I started, I would have had a sort of better, you know, feeling about it. But it was overcast when I started, cleared up by the third hole, fifth hole, sixth hole was clear, seventh hole, eighth hole was clear, and then the ninth hole was going back in an overcast. The overcast was down in the water, and this is one of those common problems here is you have a lot of overcast over the water, you come off the water and it's clear. All right, so the way that course was set up, you're going uphill, and it is just a problem to have consistent light. So in any case, long story short, short story more interesting, the backside was rather flat comparatively, except for the 13th hole and the 14th hole, which were really good holes. I mean, I honestly, I was like, they're similar to, I rarely see a hole that I've never played before, okay? But this particular hole, the layout of it was so unusual that I was like, oh man, I remember this, playing a hole like this, and this is an awesome hole. And, you know, it's this high tee box, downhill shot to a slightly uphill rising fairway, par 5, going out to, you know, to the green. And the green is right next to this curvy road, and there's cars passing by, and I'm sitting up there in a tee box, the very back tees, and I could see a park cop off in the distance on the right and so forth. And the problem is the hole before that, I'd pretty much hit over another blind shot coming off the 11th, and I'd almost hit the guys ahead of me, and they were 100 yards off the green. I hit this amazingly good drive, just ran forever, and almost hit them. So I was kind of like smiling and waving and so forth. And I wanted to wait for these guys to get on the green for this next shot, the one that's the par 5. And so I hit my shot left, pulled, I wouldn't say pulled, but hit a nice draw and hit the first tree down there in the fairway, hit my second shot, and I was lying about 185 off the green, but I was behind this big evergreen tree. And then I hit a really nice cut up. It stopped about 50 feet in front of the green, hit a chip shot that literally bounced off the green and then hit the flag and stopped there about 10 feet. And it would have hit a par anyway on that hole, except I missed it just very, 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 very slightly offside and on a downhill green. And you know, one of the good things about the greens in this course is they had a fair amount of action. It was a good played a really good hole right behind them. So like, they're like, oh my God, they're sitting there watching me from the tee box the next hole. So same thing, going on the next one, going on number 14. It's uphill, that same hill, but it's a different side of the cart path, and there's a bathroom there also. And this one I pulled right into a tree, hit a 3-wood up there within 20 yards of the green. I mean, it's just amazing crap. And so I was having fun. At this point, I'm starting to have fun. I'm starting to hit good drives and good shots and everything's working well. So then I made a mistake and overestimated my ability to play this dogleg par 4, which is I think number 15. Yeah, and this I want to mention specifically because it's a short dogleg. One of the problems with this course is it's 6,800 yards, and all of the holes on the par 4s and 5s are relatively short. Just like the longest par 4 was a 420-yard par 4. The longest par 5 was like a 520-yard par 5. There was actually a 435-yard par 5. So one of the problems with this course is, aside from the blind shots off the tees on the front side, on the back side, you're hitting short holes that are marked at least a stroke up, in my opinion. So, you know, 330-yard par 4, dogleg left. And what I didn't know about this hole is that the entire center of the knee of the dogleg is OB, and there's a lot more trees there that you can't see because there's so many trees there. So I really had gotten myself off an OB and just chipped onto the fairway and played up. And I thought it was fun. I thought it was a fun side to play. It was very aggressive with the hole layouts in some ways. The wind was kicking up by the time I got to the back half of the backside. So half the time you're hitting into the wind or you're hitting across the wind or something. And it was a very good layout to play. I thought it was a fun layout. I didn't think it was all that hard, but still it was a challenge. And I did learn a few things about my drive technique, playing in that wind, you know, like how to hit a straight drive down the center of the fairway, even into the wind, and get good yardage. So I did pick up a couple lessons playing the course, had a good time playing it. And the clubhouse is nice. It's kind of like I would say an oceanside like crab house type of place, you know, small but not too small, laid back but not too laid back. It wasn't like it was old and musty and run down. And they're doing some construction on the front. I guess they're building up the patio or something. And it was just a nice course. I thought for the price, it was $60, I think, to play it on a Sunday at 2:00. And I thought for what it was nice. They had nice food there, a lot of, 4 or 5 big screen TVs. And they were showing the PGA Championship at the end there on Sunday. And it was just a really good outing. And I'm glad that I drove up to play the course. I am sorry I wasn't in the mood to hike and take more shots around the perimeter of the bay and the jetty and the cove or whatever that's there. But I could definitely tell you there are some nice places to go hiking around there. If you are in the area, you can definitely go out there, and they've got a bunch of trails out there and a bunch of parking spaces out there on the road that runs along the course, and it's fun. And I had a great time going out there and taking it around. Had a lot of fun doing it. That's Morro Beach, and there's a Morro Park there, and I'm going to grade it a B star. I give it the benefit of the doubt because I never played the course before, and it was a decent outing, and it's by the shore and all the good stuff. I'll give it a B star. Nice round.